Today's agenda is higher education funding. Higher education funding. Higher education funding is different from HELB. HELB is the board that runs higher education. Just like Shisha, is it called Sha and whatever, but that is about health. We are going to talk about education. And we will start with when I first learned about higher education funding. The first time I learned about it, that is a few months after Jomo Kenyatta had died. Then we'll follow that one up to when I was seconded to Chepkoilel campus of Moi University. I was seconded to Chepkoilel campus of Moi University, which today is known as University of Eldoret. It is important for me to share the experience. The problems we are having today is also related to that time. But also I want to give you the flow of events from the time I learned about it, higher education funding model, through that time when I was seconded to Eldoret University, up to now. And I wish this information would have reached President Ruto, because the crying of the innocent children, yes, he may go back, and I would really want him to go back in 2027. But it should not be going back at whatever costs. Apparently, what Ruto is now doing is he's so much centered in the second term that he would use any other system. To him, that is what is important now. Anything else comes twice. But I would want to tell him, I want to appeal to his Christian belief that he should not take kids from poor families into the deep river or the deep ocean, leave them there. I remember that is how I learned how to swim. During our time, you would be taken to the river, into a place where you are deep, and then you'd be left there. So in the process of trying to run away and whatever, you would become a swimmer. I don't want to believe that is what the president, but what I know about the president is he just wants to come back the second term. That is the first thing. Any other thing is secondary. But I would want to tell him that as a parent, as a Christian, let him mind about kids from the poor family. As I said, I'll start it from that time when Kenyatta had died, a few weeks or months after Kenyatta died, up to now. But I'll start now with a case study, just a simple case study. Let me say that it is a girl. For the purpose of, let us say it's a girl, because it has to be either a boy or a girl, isn't it? Now this girl or this student is from a poor family. The 4 years that the student was through from 1 to Form 4, the student was a village or clan student. Many schools in Kenya now, from 1 to Form 4, the annual fees is 35,000 to 40,000. Let us take the upper figure, 40,000. So every year, and you know, that is 13,000 per term. 13,000 per term means that this student is taken care of, accommodation and feeding. The student sleeps in the dormitories. The student eats in the dining hall if you pay 13,000 per term or 40,000 per year. Now, this is what has been happening. A bright student or a deserving student, let me talk about deserving. Because if you say a bright student, it means if the student is not bright, then he or she is not entitled to education. Now, a needy student pays 13,000 per term. The village or clan sits together and contributes the 13,000. They go ahead and contribute twice. They contribute the students' pocket money, and so there is this shopping. There is the shopping of soap and other things to be placed in the students' box. That is what they do. Now, this student goes up to Form 4, does very well. He or she is called to the university, public university. Here, Ruto comes. This is what happened. Watu wanasemaga mimi nakutetea, so I have to be frank with you. It is better you lose the second term fairly in a Christian heart than just win for the sake of winning. Now here is a student, and I said the clan or the village contributes that money. There is also two things that happens. That the MP, through the bursary of the CDF, the MP contributes 6,000 shillings, which is and I remember the 6,000 is not written for one student, unless the student is only one for one school. If it is a school that several students from one constituency go to there, a letter is written to the principal, ABCD High School. This is bursary for the following students. If there are 10, the check is 60,000 shillings. It goes one letter and one check. Okay, let's say the CDF pays 6,000. Then the MCA also has some bursary, but Riruta MCA, he was removed. The Riruta MCA, I don't know, he had his own list of people he used to, and he even didn't, okay, that is one, but it is not countrywide. So I can't talk about MCAs, but I know MCAs have, what do we call, but Kiogora has come, yeah? Kiogora is a good MCA for Riruta. I'm talking of the other MCA. It reached a place where students would get up to 12,000 from bursary, 6,000 from MP, and 6,000 from MCA. That is 12. That is 12. Then the clan and whatever. And if you find 12, it means that already the MCA and the MP have already contributed one terms. So you student and back in 2 terms, and of which in a good number of cases, the village or the clan took upon themselves to do that. Now the student goes to the university. Now this is imfikie Ruto mwenyewe. The student goes to the university. What does Ruto come in? He comes in with 4 bunches. There is the needy, the very needy. Then there is the vulnerable and very vulnerable. Okay, there is a confusion in the calculation and whatever, because you find in one case, the students are, they get a scholarship of, let's say, 50% and a bursary of 40%, something like that. And then the other one is the reverse. The other one is the reverse. But what happens is that in the 4 categories, that in the 4 categories that you find the students are, there is one category. I'm yet to meet a student who was in that category. But that category, the student pays nothing. The student pays nothing. Uh, the help pays everything. What I've met is that most of the people, over 90% of them, are placed in such a way that whether the scholarship is this amount and the bursary is this amount, the scholarship and whatever, it all added up to 93%. So the student is supposed to, over 90% of the students I've come across, they pay 7% off. That was first year. Come second year, that was a few months before, that was around July. Because people used to complain. People used to complain to the government at this funding model. Can it sustain a student for 4 years and again sustain on all consecutive students? What did Ruto say? Ruto came out and said that if the economic conditions come up and forces us to alter that, the student who has entered at 7% will continue with 7% until he or she completes the university. But what happened after they realized the truth and whatever, and this is the information I got from Anniversary Towers. I am a whistleblower. I can take journalists to the office of the person who, and a very senior person, because I went there and I was taken to the senior person, and he told me categoric, Kizungu ni ngumu. He told me, suppose you are in our position, what would you do? I said I was a civil servant, and civil servants, you do everything as per, you never question, you never reason with the president. Said a letter came from State House which said, forget the 4 bands, here are the 5. That was around July last year. August, students went home for 4 months. Is it August? Anyway, 1 month before they closed, because that, I think that was March, yeah. Because in April they went home for 4 months. No, they went home. This thing came in April. Because in May, the students went home up to September. Now in April, a month before going, they were told, forget about the 4 bands. There are new 5 bands. This is an information that went from Anniversary Towers. It went to the vice chancellors of all the universities, and the vice chancellors passed the information to the students. The information passed was not an information passed that in future you are, next year you are going, it was said it has been backdated to the time you joined the university. Now let us take an example of a student whose coursework is 300,000. The student had paid 21,000 because he or she knew that it was 7%, so paid 21. But 1 month before the student completed his or her freshman, the student was told that you are in a band where you pay 30%. And it is not that the band you'll go second year, not even first year. So the student, when joining second year, imagine joining second year, they have not studied, but the universities are now insisting that they pay. You see, last year they paid 7%, and they are supposed to look for, what is 30 minus 7? That is 23. They are supposed to pay 23 for last year, and then add 30% this year. That comes to 73%. A lot of poor students will go home. Ruto, is that what you want? Ruto, the chairman of CU in Kapsabet High School, is that what you want? It would have made sense if you would have even said that from second year going onwards, but the students have been told, last year you paid 7%. Now you are going to pay the difference between 7 and 30, which is 23. So that in second year, students are now paying at 23 plus 30, that is 53. I'm again asking Ruto, chairman of CU Kapsabet High School, is that in your Christian value? When somebody dies, or when somebody is going to die, we say the blood of so and so is on your hands. Students, I foresee many students falling out. Ruto, I don't want to use the word what do you call blood, but it is on you. It is up to you. These students, if they would have known that they were to pay 30, and you know what is happening? The clan, the clan used to know that it was paying everything, isn't it? The clan does not know that this student, after paying the 7%, the student also has to look for a hostel. The student has to look for a hostel, pay 5,000 in a town like Kisii, and then the student has to feed himself or herself. That is the reality. The clan now knows that, the clan may even contribute for the 7%, which is 21,000. But the clan does not know that there's... So that punishment, that pain the students are facing. The students are facing. And I don't want to talk about the ripple effect, because you'll find that students are now missing classes, going to Mujengo. Instead of going to class for 5 days a week, they go for 3 days. These 2 days, they go for Mujengo so that they can get food. And what happens? Missing classes or universities all over the world, you are discontinued. Now, viewers, I'll go to what I said about how I came to learn about higher education fund from the time I was a few months after Kenyatta died up to all that time. Previously, schools used to be called secondary schools. Secondary schools because they were offering Form 4 certificate. Form 4 certificate is called Kenya Certificate of Secondary. So schools were being called secondary schools. And when you completed secondary, there were a few colleges that taught Form 5 and Form 6. We had colleges like Kenyatta College, which is now Kenyatta University. We had Siriba before it became a TTC. Those were colleges which were strictly Form 5, Form 6. In those Form 5, Form 6, that is why I call this one higher education funding. When you joined Form 5 and Form 6, you paid no single cent in form of school fees. So, and the school started struggling. Schools started struggling to get Form 5 and Form 6. So each school at every stage, each school, whenever it got Form 5, Form 6, then it would change its name. Like my former school used to be called, the school that I went for my A-levels. O-levels, I went to Nairobi Technical, but I'm talking of the school that I went for my A-levels. It used to be called Bungoma Secondary School. Bungoma Secondary School. Then since they started Form 5 and 6, a few years before I joined, the school was changed. If you see my Form 6 certificate, it is written Bungoma Secondary School. But it was later changed at the Ministry of Education. Certificates now read Bungoma High School. So when you say that I went to this and this high school, you went to a secondary school and you got a secondary Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education. Initially, if you went to Form 5 and Form 6 in schools, you used to eat like any other student, and you used to have different dormitories which were called hostels, which had cubicles. But you used to pay no fees. You never paid any single cent for Form 5, Form 6. And you used to eat the same food as your all-level people used to eat. But you had an advantage of two things. You used to have tea at 10 a.m. and at 4 p.m. And people started calling that tea academic tea. Academic and, A-levels. So that is what happened. But since many schools came up and it was not tenable for the government to pay for A-levels, and that is why when I joined A-level, a few years before I joined A-level, the school fees for A-level was phrased out, such that you found that a certain year, I think that was 1975, Form 5 would pay fees, but Form 6 would not pay. Then Form 5 went on, so that is how they phrased it out. That one, I've talked about higher education funding for A-levels. Now we go to the universities. Universities, they used to get a loan, and students used to call it boom. First of all, when you joined a university, it used to be free accommodation. I want to tell you, look at Kisii University now. Kisii University, first years are 7,000. Second year are 7,000. Third year and fourth year are combined 8,000. Now 8 plus 14, that one comes to 22. 22 or 23,000 students of Kisii University. When it comes to hostel, Kisii University has hostel for 500 students. So all the students are staying out of the campus, which is okay by me. But you see, it is the parents who are paying for that at the market price, demand and supply. Now that is what is happening. Those days, every student who joined university, there was free accommodation, hostels within the university. There was free food. There was free food. And then students, each semester, a student would be given 3,000 shillings. 3,000 shillings, which was called boom. Which was called boom. The students would buy educational materials, books, whatever, textbooks, everything, exercise books, call them. The students had free food and had free. So whatever he spent or she spent with the boom, and that is why they used to go, you'd find all night clubs in Nairobi, they are there. After finishing the boom, they would now study. Now the total of, I said 3,000 per semester. No, it was 3,000 per year. It was 3,000 per year. After they get this 3,000 shillings, now they were getting 1,500. That was a lot of money. Why? 1,500. At that time, an inspector of police used to get 6,000. No, not 6,000. An inspector of police used to get 660 shillings per month. Now, that is over twice the whatever. Now, an inspector of police gets 45,000 salary. So if we do that, we'll say that it is like today, every semester when it opens, a student is given 90,000 per year. So 45 and 45. At today's, that is what I've calculated from a system that I know. So they get that boom. It was said that upon employment, you would pay. But they used to pay as they please. It is only that the government, when it realized that a lot of people were having problems, were refusing to pay, That is when they came up with such things as help, and help was started now pursuing. You can get some people who went to the university in the 60s and they did not pay for that. That is what happened in the 70s and 80s. It reached 70s and 80s, corruption came to the university. Corruption came to the university, and I want to tell you, it so happened that the students had a timetable. They started complaining that their level of food was not different from the level that they used to have in the high schools, Form 5, Form 6. And when they joined the university, they were supposed to have two things regularly. Well, that was chapatis and chicken. Now, chapati is circular, round. So when people want to discuss something, they go to a round table, isn't it, for dialogue. So they used to, yeah, my age mates were jinka how. They used to strike just because of food. And I'll come to that. They used to strike because of food. Now they used to be called to a round table. They were told, come, can we talk about, can we have a dialogue? Say, how can we have a dialogue without dialogue? That is, how can we have a round table discussion without chapati? So you could find even the university would be closed because of that. And then they used also to complain about Airbus. The number of days when the chicken were being served were less. So the chicken was being called Airbus or Airbud, but they used to call it Airbus. So they started striking that, and that is what happened in 1990. Because I was attached to Chepkoilel, which is now Eldoret University, in the 90s. But you see, the government is bad. Any government is bad. Anytime you disagree with the government, wanazunguka. Like the Gen Zs complained about one, then government ikazunguka, ikapocket yule baba yao. So that is what the government does. You do something, wanakuzungusha at the end of the, I think the Gen Zs will agree with me on that. So people started, sijui nini. Then the government came up with a system that they called cost sharing. Cost sharing. In cost sharing, if your pocket can allow, no, they're not cost sharing. They came up with something called pay. You know, on your pay slip, there is a tax that is called pay as you earn. They also came with another pay as you pay, PAYE, which they called pay as you eat. If you want a cup of tea without even mandazi for breakfast and lunch, and then in the supper in the evening, you eat whatever can hold your stomach. They brought in this system. Now, they brought in this system because they now had a chance to bring their friends who would supply food stuff to the university. Now students found themselves, and you see, you fight anything, just like school. I'm sorry if I'm deviating. Just like in school, children of rich people cause tension. There is riot, they close the school. Then the school, when it's being reopened, they say every student to pay 5,000 shillings, cost of damages, and also clear all the, and you see the child from a poor family did not participate in the, and he or she is being forced to pay for 5,000 to repair, and also the student is also put on the condition of clearing all the school fees that he has or she has been having throughout. So when they brought in pay as you eat, it also brought problems in the universities, because kids from the rich And you see, poor families, they also know, even today, that students are given something. Please don't tell people out that students are given something. Because parents from the poor families now start pushing the students from their kids who are in the university to pay fees for their siblings on the lower land. And then we started having class lives in the university. We started having problems there, but which they cannot, of course, demonstrate or riot, because they could not demonstrate or riot because they did what? You buy whatever food you want. Now, in the morning or evening, a student from a poor family goes and orders githeri for the 7th day. And a child from a rich family goes and orders kukunus for the 7th day. So you see how things are happening in the university. There is class, whatever there. So that is how it went into pay as you eat. Now the universities started spreading, and this is where I blame Ruto. There is a problem in Kisii University, as I said, that in Kisii University, there is about 30,000 students, and yet there is 500,000 hostel for the university. You have not even addressed issues of how more students will have accommodation or anything. It has turned into a day school where students just come to read and go back to wherever they are staying. And you know, staying in the villages and whatever, there is the security concern, and there is ABCD. And then you rush to Nyamira. Nyamira, where people are so squeezed that you cannot even build a kiosk. And you go and tell the Nyamira people that you are going to have a Nyamira university. Now, lastly, I would want to request the government go back. The government, forgive me, but I think what I'm talking sense. The government, in October, some people took the government to court. About education funding, and the government being very inhuman, stopped. Now students have not been funded, they have not been given boom. They are being told that help. That is what I was told by a senior person at Advisory Towers, that they are waiting for outcome of the case. Ile sheria kidogo nilifundishwa na Mr. Nyaseda, senior training wing of Kiganjo, the best law teacher outside a law school, was that when you take a case to court and status quo is maintained, it means you go back to the former system, pending the outcome of the case. In this case, my own interpretation of the law, the best lawyer who has never attended a law school, is that when the court in October said that, was it in October? No, it's not in October. But anyway, there is a time the court said, that the status quo be, no, they stopped the, forget about ile naongea, just mind about the points that I'm bringing. The court said that it has suspended the funding. And suspending anything in law, it says there is a word which is called status quo. And status quo was that the students were to remain in the 4 band. It was to remain in the 4 band. Now, when the court makes a determination, whether to backdate or to in future or whatever, now students have not been paid. University lecturers are not learning. The university, what do you call? Administration, finance officer. Wale amukusoma mjue, huyo ni bazaar wa university. The university bazaars are now pulling the students to pay fees or be expelled. That one to me is contempt of court. Now that is what is happening, and as I said, hiyo ni blood, the blood of for lack of a better word, the blood of the students will be on the, although it is not blood in the actual sense, but whatever hardship should be blamed on Ruto and Ruto himself. I wanted to talk last. I want to comment my frank opinion about Ruto. Now, I like talking about I like talking things earlier so that when they come out, people say, hey, na hii mzee alikuwa anajua kitu. Ruto has no intention of going to the four band. He's the type of a person, it's like that, what do you call, leopard. The leopard gets the neck of an antelope, stays there. Pole pole tu. It doesn't move left or right. It doesn't even bite more. Just that your bite imebite. Inaka. Then the antelope dies. The leopard would say, siku mnyonga zaidi, ama siku mnyonga kidogo, nilimaintain hiyo tu. So what my younger brother Ruto is planning is that he is planning that akae tu hivyo tu pole pole, and then the time comes, then you people will say, si hata wacha was for the sake of students whatever. Yake ni hiyo elephant whatever. That is his intention. But I would appeal to him to put into consideration matter of students. The other thing I wanted to say lastly, but I had to add that one. And it came to me the day when Ruto was in Nyamira. As I've just said that Nyamira is so squeezed. And you see Nyamira is just next to Kisii town. If you're coming from Bomet all the way to Kisii, you'll be told the boundary is just 5 kilometers parallel to the road. The boundary is, so you go 6 kilometers. It is just like for people who are in Nairobi, you are at Udhiru, so unaambiwa Kawangware ndio pale. So Kawangware is in Nyamira place. We should sit down and revisit issue of higher education. The 2010 Constitution said that each and every county should have a university. But let us ask ourselves, must we have universities in all counties? Yes, we have some counties with more than one universities. And then we have some, if a place like Nyamira, first of all, they cannot even agree who is to surrender his or her land for the university to start. And the Nyamira is 10 kilometers from Kisii. Leave alone that. There is the second largest Kisii town, huko kwa kina Nyachai. That one street is in Kisii town, and huko ni Nyaribari. I'm forgetting, it's not Keumbu town, but there is a town there, Kisii mtanikumbusha, where Nyachai came from, where on the other side of the road is Kisii County, and on the other side of the road is Nyamira County. I think we should now start thinking of combining the universities and reducing them. We should even reduce them to make 66% of the universities that we have. We reduce the universities. The other reason is, hata wakipata degree, what are they getting jobs? Let us get lesser graduates so that they even get a job security. With those very many remarks, I want to thank you for listening to me.